Hello everyone, I guess you're hopefully having a wonderful day. We are back again with another PWCC/Fanatics weekly review where I go through the top 100 soccer auctions this week over on their auction site. So if you enjoy the weekly recaps, do make sure to leave a like, helps me a lot, would appreciate it greatly. But yeah, let's go ahead and get on over there. We start with the Navarrete Modric from 2006, one of the more plentiful sort of early Modriches that you can find. SGC 8 goes for 93 bucks. The Xavi went for 96. I actually looked this up just to sort of see, and these have been relatively stable since their release. I think Raws upon release were like 40 bucks, so a 10 for 100, not too shabby. Lamine Yamal won't be the craziest of the Lamine Yamals, but seeing Topps living cards going for over $100 is always just a reminder that there is fresh blood out there and excitement amongst the youths in terms of card collecting, so that's always fun. 91 Once here for Zinedine Zidane and a PSA 3. Sort of a magazine cutout, I believe. When we look back at past comps, there was a 4 actually recently that went for 372, and before that, a PSA 2 for 112. So compared to those, seems like a pretty light sale. If you go further back, it'll seem even more light. Something I've sort of generally noticed with pre-modern is that, the odd end stuff still seems to be dropping, and while this is an early Zidane, it's not like a Panini sticker release, it's a bit different, so I think that sort of fits into the odd and end segment. PSA 10 Ronaldinho goes for 103. Beyond that, we have a Zidane 93 PSA 7 that went for 103 as well. Right above that, we have a 2016 Select Few PSA 10 and a Messi with the World Cup trophy from 2022 Instant. This is not a rookie. I don't know why PWCC insists on naming things rookies that are not rookies in soccer. Like, if you don't know, just don't do it. And this one, I don't know how you couldn't know. It's not like his true rookie from 94 is actually hard to find. I mean, they sell it like monthly. So, yeah, I don't know. The rookie in a PSA 8 last went for 200, so that indicates to me at least that someone probably bought this with some inkling that this was a rookie, at least based on the price. Also pop one to 7 then higher, so that might have helped. Julian Alvarez patch, again, sort of a nod to, the modern excitement, which is always fun to see, but it's just sort of a random patch. Going for 110 is not a bad price. Comparatively, we have a 2010 Panini Messi here and a PSA 10 going for 110. BGS 8 for this Ronaldo sticker from 2004 Pacquiao. Pretty, it's a BGS 8. It's not comparable to a PSA 10 in any regard, but we saw a PSA 10, I do believe, or a 9. Basically, all of them sold from the set a couple weeks back. They sold between 2 and 5K or so. Actually, even maybe up to like 6K, depending on which one it was, but they were all really high grades of whatever sticker it was. There's one that doesn't have any 10s. All that to say, an 8 for 110, like if you're bargain hunting, that doesn't feel bad. Obviously, it's BGS. BGS stickers, we'll actually talk about some later that, are kind of iffy, but it is what it is. There's going to be a lot of these Yugoslavian issues from the 70s. I think they're maybe 60s too, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of them, and really there's no comps. I don't have a lot of information on it. It's just sort of collectors going after it because they rarely see this type of stuff, and they PC the players, so that's always cool to see. So there will be a lot of it, but it's going to be hard to sort of categorize it in my head. 2010 Barcelona Autografo here of a Messi, obviously fake signature, or I guess facsimile. PSA 9 goes for 117. We have a VVD auto for 126. I guess it's a 1010, but doesn't seem crazy. Xavi out at 99. PSA 9 purple goes for 132. Sort of makes sense. I mean, that's about what I see purples go for of somewhat meaningful players. I mean, Xavi's a pretty meaningful player, don't get me wrong. But personally, my two favorite colors are purple and orange. And in both 2014 Prizm and 2017 Chrome, they sort of are like the forgotten stepchild of the set in the sense that like an out of 99 purple isn't all that exciting. And purple really clashes with a lot of different kits. And in 2017 Chrome, orange is sort of in a weird spot as well. So still people going after it though. I mean, 132, isn't anything too cheap. But at the same time, I mean, would I rather get the Xavi purple or the Julian Alvarez just blank patch? I take the Xavi every day of the week. People think I hate modern sets, but I guess when the bar is, this, it's not as high. But I take it even over like some of the stickers you see up here. I know it's Messi and, that's sort of its own category, but yeah, seems like a decent buy. We have a Ben Barrack from 49. We've seen some of these go lately, or at least some different ones. There's been a lot of like late 40s Ben Barrack the last few weeks, but seems like a decent price. Generally speaking, he doesn't have a lot of stuff that goes for too much, and some of the Spanish issues are more common. This, I think, being one of them, especially. I mean, if a 4 is going for 130, that doesn't say anything crazy. Comparatively, though, this Kubala I looked it up because honestly, I was just sort of interested. It's a really nice looking Kubala. There was also a Gento that went in the same auction that went for like $55 or something. But yeah, this is a really nice looking one. I looked on Toto, couldn't find anything. So at least from my eyes, it seems like a pretty rare item and really nice looking one as well. It's a little bit later career. I mean, it's really not even late career. It's still early career, but it's not a rookie. So it's not getting any premium off that. Solely just a nice looking and pretty rare card there for Kubala. A 32 Kamsel here and a PSA 9. So this set has a lot of pretty notable stars of the time. Fairly common, but in high grade, you can see pop 1 of 3, not higher. So they do come out in high grade. This isn't unattainable. It is always weird seeing like PSA 9s from the 30s, but it is possible. PSA 6 of this R9, we saw an 8-run, must have been a couple weeks ago. I think it went for, 600-ish, so a 6 at 150 seems to make sense. There's going to be a lot of these like Pele World Cup 58 photos from a set of some sort. I don't know what this is, but it is oversized and it is like some sort of photo release. So yeah, they don't go for anything crazy, but there are some notable sort of pictures in there, which is kind of cool. We have this Mbappe. We've seen this run so many times now. I went from never seeing it to seeing it basically every week in this auction, so it must be fairly common then. We have a Gallagher here from the same set as we just saw prior. PSA 9 pop 1 of 4 goes for 156. And a Meredith from 1908 with a blue back with the PSA 2. Not too familiar. I mean, that's a really low price for a Meredith, but the pops aren't crazy, but also a lot of this UK stuff people don't like grading, so it's not going to really give you the full picture. 2023 Lamine Yamal, comparatively just fun to go from Billy Meredith to Lamine Yamal Este sticker, but PSA 10 for 168. I don't have a whole lot to add. I will always just say, I used to have fun myself. It is enjoyable to prospect and play that game, but at the end of the day, typically, even if Lamine Yamal becomes what everyone thinks he will, the prices don't really go up because everyone's baked in the craziness, right? When it comes to like Este stickers, you can say, well, Messi Este stickers are worth this. And I understand that. That was sort of my first thought. Was like, well, PSA 10 Este sticker, huh? But there's so many Este stickers, and back when Messi was, coming out of the scene, they weren't worth anything. So people are just sticking them in albums or tossing them. I'm sure some people kept duplicates, obviously. But now people could just go from opening the pack to straight getting it graded. And that's going to happen a lot more than you would see with like a Messi. So 168 seems like a pretty decent price, at least comparatively to what we'll see the Mega Cracks go for in a bit. We have an 86 Egypt Maradona, PSA 9 going for 168. Some more Yugoslavian releases from the 60s here. Vladimir Berea, no clue. Raymond Copa, I do know that name though, so I got one of these, but they're all pretty unique, I would say, in terms of the look. We got a 5 here and a 1.5 there, so interesting to see. Can't add a whole lot in this row, not stuff you see all too often. And above that, we have a R9 PSA 6 going for 180, the foil rookie. Then we have PSA 9 Champions of Europe Messi, a 66 Sicker Verlag PSA 5 going for 186. Lamine Yamal out of 75 here. This booklet, I don't know what this is. I always sort of laugh when I see them. Yeah, for some reason the Fanatics pictures aren't loading, so yeah, we're not going to be able to zoom in on anything, which is sad state of affairs. Never happened with PWCC, just saying. But anyway, look at this. Like, what is this? Why do you have the left? Like, a booklet, at least in my opinion, should be a patch, should be an auto, and it should have a nice picture somewhere, and it should be meant to be a booklet. This looks like something that was meant to be a solo card and just got stretched to be a booklet for no reason. I mean, literally, there's like a piece of his calf on the other side. It just makes no sense. You should just move Endrick over, have him standing above the auto, cut the booklet in half, and stop wasting everyone's time and resources, because that's just preposterous. I mean, that is disgusting. They have other ones too. It's not just Endrick, but only Leaf could manage to make an Endrick 1/1 2023 auto worth $192. I'll just say that. Like, that is absolutely terrible. How do you do that? You have to be absolutely terrible as a company to take one of the best soccer prospects, make a 1/1 autograph card of him, and sell it for $192. Like, it just blows my mind. I do not understand it at all. Then we have the 2017 Messi from Panini Revolution. This is the Magna out of 45, and a PSA 9 goes for $192. Feels like a fairly decent price. I bought one of these raw for, maybe $100, $150 30, somewhere in there. I can't remember exactly, but I really like the card. When you get it in the right light, it shines amazingly. I mean, even here, you can kind of see what's going on. Again, I guess we can't even bring up the picture, so you really can't. So I guess if I pull it over a little, this all just looks like a white speckle in the background, but if you hit it in the light, it's actually like rainbowy, and it looks really, really good. One of the more surprising parallels, at least to me. Feels like a pretty decent price, I would say. For some reason, fairly hard to grade. I know this set has some, certain cards that are harder to grade, but I feel like they're generally in decent condition. This PSA 9 Monday Chromo Ramos was a super high sale comparatively to some of the past ones, and as to why, I do not know. So, okay, I looked up these Tatis earlier to make sure it wasn't his rookie, but beyond that, this was selling for like 50, 70 bucks. So literally the last sale was 40, well, I guess the last sale before the Fanatics Vault, but this sold for 40 bucks. PSA 9 in March. This is, I just want to see if it's the same cert. So it is. Okay, so that same one was bought and then sold on Fanatics for 70 bucks. Nice little flip there. But, I mean, I don't understand. I don't know why someone's paying 200 bucks, I guess is the way I'd put it. I just closed out of the site. It's hard because you can't always make sense of everything, and cards should have some sort of fluctuation, but 3 times the last comp, which was already double the last comp, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I do think the Ramos should be worth a little bit. Like, honestly, if I saw Ramos, knowing what I know now, if I saw Ramos go for 40 bucks, I'd probably snag it, right? I wasn't hunting these actively back in the day, but I have a Messi in pretty decent grade, and I paid a decent amount of money for that. So if I could get a Ramos and a 9, the Monday Chromo cards aren't easy to grade. The centering's typically off, and while they are fairly common in a high grade like a 9, not the easiest. So yeah, I mean 200, feels a bit steep, but yeah, I like it at 40. So we see these every week, seemingly around 200 all the time. So nice to be able to nail that down in the head. We have a 35 Mas Antonio here from this Dick's Popo set. It's sort of, I think it's like a metal set, but pop one of 1 and higher. A lot of them have sort of went lately, not for too crazy of prices, but fairly unique and also recently graded, so just something of note. This PSA 8 Messi seems about what they go for. We see these typically every week. I thought there was a Ronaldo, but I guess not. We have this 53 Gento for 204. I've seen the Di Stefano here on Fanatics, whatever. PWCC, Fanatics, you get the idea. But we've seen that sell, and that got a good number, and this also seemingly got a pretty good number. It's a 53 release, which is notable, at least for Gento. Decent price for a 1.5. Above that, we have a Beckenbauer Bisfalida with a SGC3 that went for 216. So that feels decent in the sense that pretty low grade, but obviously, getting one of the best players in the set. 62 Di Stefano from the same sort of release, I guess. Almost a decade later, but in a 5.5 goes for 216. We have a Messi auto, 2020 fake auto, facsimile auto for 228. Again, I like the look of it, but that does feel kind of strong in regard to a 2020 Este sticker. I mean, we were seeing some earlier from like 2010s that were going for like 100. This Lam goes for 228. I wanted to look that up because we've seen a few sell lately. The only other 2 comps were 372 and 195. So I guess this is better than the last sale, but still down from the initial one, and that's something that just in general I would warn of if you see, and this was something that this was the case for, if you see a PSA 10 come up that you've never seen before, give it a peek. Go on, whatever sort of informational tools you like. Personally, I like GemRate. Go on there, see if the pop has jumped on whatever sticker you might buy, because typically when it's jumped and there's 4 or 5, maybe 10 new stickers, the first one's going to go for a lot, and then the next ones are going to typically dip and dip. Now, when there's only, 4 to 5, maybe it stables out after the first couple, but yeah, if you're going to be the first person testing the waters, just be weary is all I would say. We got Leaf throwing a bunch of autos together for 252 bucks. Then we have a 1936 Les of Mas Antonio, so a different, I guess, collectible item of the player we saw earlier with the Popo down here. This is pop 1 of 2, just 1 graded higher, so pretty high grade in a PSA 4 and a pretty notable set and player as well. Gets a pretty decent price at 252. I think comp-wise, the highest we've seen from this set is typically around 1,000 to 1,500, and that's for some of the biggest names in the set, so this is fairly notable. Cardmania, Neymar, don't see these go too often. As far as I'm aware, this is like an unlicensed release, which you don't see as much in modern day, but it is not a sticker that is found all too often, so I decided to look it up to see what we got. Never mind, no I didn't. Thought I looked this one up, but I guess not. Goes for $264 in a PSA 4, which is a pretty respectable price. A lot of the 2009 Panini cards, I mean, don't go for tons of money. I mean, in a 4, I think this probably outsells those Panini cards. So, to me, fairly impressive that an unlicensed rarer item is getting more love than the Panini cards. Nonetheless, we got a couple 58 Peles there, a match ball Jude. We also have this 95-96 Zidane. I always love the colors on the foots. They're so good. I mean, that bright blue is banging, and a PSA 8 Pop 105, just one higher at 288. I really like that one. As an outsider looking in on the 90s, there's honestly, and even different eras, there's so much sometimes that if I was just sort of wanting to collect a player, but I don't want to go, all the way in, I think like getting a Panini sticker run would be one of the more fun ones. And Pop 105 just one higher. Surely there's, more to be graded out there, of course, but 288 is not a crazy price, especially in pre-modern. Like, you see people paying that on, a lot of things. We have another 58 Pele. We have the 78 Socrates Authentic Altered that went for 300. We've seen this sell before. I think it last time was closer to 4. I could be wrong. But it's in the ballpark of what this sold for. This is sold, I think, 2 times already we've seen comps for. Typically, the, ones with number grades are going to go for closer to 1,000. This one goes for 300, which is still a pretty good price for a 78 Socrates. It says rookie again. I'm not buying it, but 2020 Immaculate, Lewandowski, Coutinho, and Alaba out of 20. Pretty decent price on that one for a nice Bayern card. I don't really think of Coutinho with Bayern, but if you're a Bayern guy, I guess it's something. Here we have the picture. This is one that sort of stuck out to me again. I guess I can't go in and zoom in, which is a shame, but same pose as the Heinerley card that was sort of regarded as Pele's rookie card for a while. It's not a 58 release. It's actually a little later, but still a pretty coveted card. Pretty nice pose, and really shows some Pele athleticism there, so it's a fun one. Another Pele up here. We do have this Grail Haaland, which we never really see these go, so I want to take a peek. I think they just sell on eBay, to be honest, but yeah, last PSA 10 went for 353, 372, and actually when I look back, I was sort of curious what the peak was. Back here it's 513. I guess you can't see it, but down at the bottom, there you go. 385 was the first ever sale, which was fairly interesting to me, because that means it's basically the same price it sold for initially. Now, it did have some hype and sort of bounced up to 1,000 a little after release, but it settled down pretty quickly after. So, it seems like a card that's kind of holding its own, and 336 for a 10 isn't crazy, I guess. I mean, a 9 maybe goes for 100, 150, and in theory, then you could build the set at a pretty decent clip. I'm guessing there are some worth more than others based on, how the sets were made and all that jazz, but another 58 Pele there. Above that, we have a Maldini auto for 372. Pretty impressive price point on that one. Next to it, we have a Robert Lewandowski, a My Journey from Topps for a, what is that, a 1 of 1, goes for 372. You also have the facsimile Messi going for 372 and a PSA 10. Comps on this are really weird. I mean, last year, I guess, we have 1,000 and then sort of went down to 400. Then there was a sale at 227, and then the same person listed another on auction just a week later, and it went for 610. So yeah, I don't know. Last one went for 324, and then this one goes for 372. So they're just sort of bouncing around everywhere. Seems like a pretty good price, I would say. Interesting nonetheless. Above that, we have an authentic altered Maradona from 78 Crack. I didn't look at the back of this one, but presumably it looks all right. Yeah, I would say if you're trying to, alter something, it's probably something that looks pretty good. Again, I don't know why I try to open. I don't think we can. Oh, we can. All right, nice. Yeah, looks fairly decent. I guess. I mean, none of the sides scream authentic altered to me. Like, it doesn't scream trimmed. I guess this is, yeah, the left side's pretty good, but there are, like, I mean, spots sort of everywhere that are a little off. Nonetheless, I mean, it looks pretty good, I would say, at least for a 78 Crack. And, that's about as cheap as you're going to get them, so if you can get a good-looking one. I guess it does look a little thin, but still fairly decent. The 71 Pele is from the Seeta set, which is, I believe this is the Zico rookie, which is pretty cool, actually, because you never see the Zico rookie, so presumably you wouldn't see the Peles at all. And to get a Pele and a 2... of course, it is 70s, but I think it's nice that it's at least from a notable set. Goes for 372. Feels like a fairly light price, because I see people hunting Pele 60 stuff all the time, and this one would probably be pretty hard. and goes for not a crazy price, at least compared to Pele stuff. Kaluna 57 here, really cool looking one there. Typically I only see the Kalunas from the same sets as the Eusebios, like people probably, rip out a Eusebio, also rip out the Kaluna, grade them both, sell them both. So you see them together a lot, but being able to see some 50s Kaluna is really cool. And a pretty decent price there at $372. This row, mostly just depressing. A Haaland 2022 Topps Now in-person auto for almost $400. Pretty egregious from my point of view, but, what are you going to do? People like what they like. Yamal 2023 auto, again, $400. Yeah, what are you going to do? This Upper Deck David Beckham PSA 10. You see the card a lot. PSA 10s you don't see as often, so I did take a peek at that. Last one went for $254. Before that, it was $560, $600, $400, $500, $400. So last year's $400 to $500 most of the time. This one gets close to that $400 to $500 mark. It seems like the eBay sale was sort of an anomaly. But I will say, just in general, pre-modern seems to fall through the cracks on eBay, while it doesn't as much on PWCC. Just because I think, it's a lot harder to sort of hunt these actively on eBay when you're only going to see one PSA 10 every so often, and there's a lot of other cards that are sort of in the mix, and people just aren't as honed into their save searches, I guess. Another Lamine Yamal auto. This PSA 10 Mega Cracks goes for $420. We'll talk about another Mega Cracks here in a second, so don't worry. We have a PSA 10 Erling Haaland auto. Again, this is sort of the situation, like, I'm not a sticker auto guy, but give me the sticker auto from Select, which is an actual release rather than a Topps Now in-person auto. I mean, it seems like a pretty easy choice to me. Beyond that, PSA 7 of this Bobby Charlton from the 58 AMBC. Really high grade there. You see an 8 sell every now and then. You see 7 sell. You barely ever, I don't think I've ever seen a 9 sell. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, $500 on that one. Decent price, but not crazy. The 8s are typically around $1,000, so a 7 for $500, at least scaling wise, sort of makes sense. Another Erling Haaland sticker auto. You have a PSA 7 Monday Chromo Messi, which seems like a pretty decent price. It's also got some sort of paper right there. I don't know what that is, but presumably not in the slab. This Mazzola sells from the 57 OMB PSA 1. This is a new cert, so not something we've seen before. We've seen the other 2 sell on PWCC, I do believe. So that's initially I was curious if it was a rerun. It is not. Pretty good price at $516. We have a press photo, Franz Beckenbauer, PSA 7, going for $540, pop 1 of 1 and then higher. Feels like a pretty good price. I mean, I don't see many of these, and I would guess it's not because they don't exist. I'd guess it's because not many people are grading them and selling them. I'm always interested in this type of stuff, what the cert is. Yeah, cert's fairly new, so that's, at least to me, that indicates a little bit more that it might be something people are getting to now. But yeah, this is something I want to talk about. So this is a Lamine Yamal PSA 9 10 auto on a 2023-2024 Mega Cracks, so one for $552. So we saw one of these in the exact same grade. It was one cert off, so the same person must have submitted multiple. And we saw one of these sell a few weeks back, and I said that it was a crazy price that it sold for. And there was one guy in the comment who made particular issue with it and said that no, this is this is just what the people want. It's a Mega Cracks card. People like Mega Cracks. It's an auto. People like autos. I appreciated his optimism, but as someone who's sort of been jaded by the hobby many times, yeah, this was a huge drop. So the last one went for $26.40, as you can see by the cert ends in a 12. This one ends, I think, in an 11. Yeah, it does. This one goes for $552. So we went from $26.40 to $552, down 80-90%. In just a couple weeks. So that sort of proves, at least, my worry, and very quickly proved my worry, which is that, Mega Cracks cards, they're produced in mass. There's a lot of them. And Lamine Yamal is going to be signing tons and tons of stuff. And you're just going to see these, especially if they're worth $2,000. Now, if they go down, 4, 3, 2, 100, I mean, however low they go, there is a point where it's just not worth your while. It's not worth the squeeze. But even at $550, it's still probably worth the squeeze if you can get them to sign 5 of them. I mean, you can go make a couple grand. And then we go up to the sticker auto row above it. I never really know what to say on theyese types of rows. To me, they're all so random. I guess you could argue, I mean, a Jude out of 50 rookies, something, right? Lamine Yamal out of 99. Then you have a Mosaic Pele for $600. So I guess this is a 10-10, which is why it sort of gets up there. But all pretty decent prices for, I think, all sticker autos. They do make it pretty hard to tell nowadays. At least they're good at that. I don't know if that's good or bad. It actually is kind of annoying as someone that's trying to figure this out. So yeah, this is a sticker. Again, these modern autos are just terrible. At some point, I also think, like with the Erling Haaland we saw earlier, I think you almost can't grade modern autos if they're like in-person autos, in the sense of how could you tell? Like, could you tell a legit to a non-legit Lamine Yamal auto if you're a grader? I don't think so. I think you just have to trust the companies. And I also do worry about other people doing them, like the Messi situation where some autos are really far off. This would be pretty easy to duplicate, right? I mean, that's an L, that looks like an S, and that looks like a 7. I don't know what it actually is supposed to be, but that's what it looks like. This Jude looks a little less stickery, but yeah, even here, I think this is sticker. I think you can, yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell. I mean, it's very hard, but it looks like there's a box around it, which again, I guess it's nice that they make it look so nonchalant, but it is also then harder to actually be able to know, right? Unless you're really familiar with the set. Now this one, I guess I would say is probably the best one out of the bunch, but this also looks terrible. I did have it hearted just because I was interested in what it did. So this is a 2019 auto of Haaland that you don't see all too often, but it is an SGC 7, and the auto itself is horrendous. So yeah, I don't know. This one for a really low price comparatively to what ones in the past have gone for. The last two were $1,700 and $3,300, but that's a 9.5 with a 10 auto and an 8.5 with a 10 auto. This is an SGC 7 with probably like a 4 auto. I don't know what the lowest auto grades are, but this is horrid. Then we have a PSA 3 Zidane from the 91 Panini Foot. Pretty famous Panini sticker there. The last PSA 4 did $12.40, so I mean, comparatively, this seems like a fair sale. I mean, this was best offer too, so the thing is with a lot of these, like this is a 4, but it looks really good. Like you can see the corners on the top are kind of nicked, but generally with the stickers, even when they're low grade, they don't look low grade. Like if I covered up this, grade, would you be able to tell? I don't think so. Not to say the grades are wrong. I do think there are like surface imperfections and things that actually warrant them being the grades they are, but they look better is sort of the point. We have the flawless Cristiano Ronaldo base out of 20 here from a pretty coveted set, and the base cards with the gems have also been pretty crazy as well, and they've been killing. Now I had it on the side and the back, but this whole card world, along with a couple others, there's like some Chinese eBay accounts that I think they dual list from Card Hobby, but I think they might be I don't know. It's very hard to tell, but basically they shill their own auctions, or other people, I think they shill their own auctions or other people shill it. Someone's shilling these auctions all the time, and it's not just this card. It is so many different cards that when I go to look them up, if it is high-end modern, you will have to sort through cards. Like this 9.5 goes for $870. I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see what other ones do. Now this is Real Madrid kit, not Portuguese kit, but okay, $1,200. Oh wait, this is 910. This is the same person, Toll Card World. Oh, another one, $1,700. Another one, $1,200. Another one before that, this is Toll, not his other account. I guess this is a different account, $1,600. And it's like, what are you supposed to do, I mean, even back here, like the one that we can comp to, because it's a Portuguese kit, this one sold apparently for $1,500, then got relisted 2 months later and sold for $6,000. I mean, like, modern's just so tough. And while I do like cards that are numbered and other people can't get them, this is the other side of it where, you only see them so often, and the people that have them want the money that they want out of it. Like they're very determined, and for some reason, I don't know if they just don't see it as egregious as I do. Like my thought would be like, if you were someone that's trying to shill to make people not notice what's going on, I do see this sometimes where people will submit something to eBay, shill it, and then presumably go and sell it on PWCC and hope people take that shilled price and pay close to that. I see that from time to time, and I see what's going on, but you have to figure it out a little bit, right? It takes a little bit of thinking. Here, it's incredibly obvious. When you have the same card sell 5 times in a few months, I mean, it's not getting paid for at any of those prices. There's no, I mean, as long as you're looking up comps, there is no question in your head. So I don't know if they just want their number and don't feel like paying to put a reserve on it. But the problem is this ends up being like reserve auctions all the time. Like I see these types of cards on eBay, and if I look at I can literally look at the account at this point and just be like, I'm not even throwing it on the watch list. It's useless to even watch. Like, it's incredibly annoying. And I was looking at another one earlier, just for an example. I looked up Maradona Kaboom because I had seen one sell somewhere, and I was just interested. And you go over here, this Toll Card World guy, $660, right? This last one. Now, the notable part here, look at this little print line in the bottom left, because we're about to see it a lot. So if I scroll backward, you have it once here, There could be even other accounts he's on, but I'm just going to look for this exact one. There's another one here, so it sold twice. We'll keep going a little further. There's the third time this month, or I guess third time last month, but again, sold again in June, so fourth time. Then sold, I guess, the same day, apparently, on a one-day auction, sold again, so the fifth time. Keep going back, sixth time there, seventh there. We then have 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. Now, I don't know if he's just not changing pictures. I don't think that's the case, though, because, I mean, it's still the same exact one. 11th, if we keep scrolling back, 12th. So this is the original one. And this was a different picture, and you can still see the print line as the other one. So this is sold like 12, 13 times in a few months from the same guy, and it's just excruciating to see that, because your saved searches get flooded with it. If you're someone that's looking for that, you see it all the time, and you're like, oh, you know, you get excited, and then it's just, no, that's not it. And no one's bidding on it at this point, presumably. I mean, some people might still want to, I guess, but most people are just going to see it and pass by. 2002 Iniesta, so these, I guess, 1,000 sort of fair price. That's what they were dropping to prior to a bunch of them getting graded, and then one got sold, the first one of the new graded bunch, and it sold for like 4,000, which was just insane compared to the last sale. But then a couple sales beyond that were back down to nearly the 1,000 range. I think 3 or 4 of these have sold at this point. I know the guy that graded them said he wasn't going to flood, but, you know, it seems like there's at least 1 or 2 every month, so I'll be interested to see if that sticks around 930. We have a 2023 Kaboom Messi. So I did take a peek at 2022 Messi case hits from Sports Cards HQ, Soccer Cards HQ, sorry. Yeah, he had a nice article over on his website where basically, you know, you were able to see what the estimated print runs were of different case hits. And at least for 2022, the Messi in that was like a pop 150 or something, which, you know, made it clear to me that they're not overprinting Kabooms to such an insane degree that, you know, I might have thought they were. And I guess I never really had a number in my head, but 150 isn't anything crazy. So if it's relatively near that nowadays, I mean, even in 2023, that seems okay to me. But pop 1 of 14, 10 higher, so, you know, okay to grade. Doesn't seem like it's terribly hard. We have a 64 hand-cut Pele that went for 1,100. I looked this one up because you don't see it too often. It is hand-cut, and I was interested by the last one selling for 428 in a PSA 4. This one goes for nearly 1,200 in a PSA 4. And I find that interesting. Now, of course, here you do have sort of the outside borders that you don't have here. So, I mean, they both are labeled hand cut, but I would assume people would prefer a border on it to make it look like a more typical sticker. But a fairly good price paid there. It could also be a, you know, case in point that maybe golden, at least for like 60s Pele, might not be the spot to sell, because that one did a pretty poor number over there. Above that, PSA 7 Messi, so this goes for 1,200, which when we look at past comps is, you know, about what you'd expect. Last PSA 9 went for 4,300. I feel like that's a pretty good price on a 9, if we're being honest. I think the last 10 went between like 60 and 120K. I don't know the exact number, but no matter what, it is a massive multiple higher. And then a BGS 9.5 went for 3.3K. Now, that might seem like a steal relatively, but I will say that, you know, this is why I mentioned earlier in regard to BGS stickers, this is really wavy. So if you look at the bottom here, I'll try to move over a bit so you might have a better chance at it. But you can sort of see on the bottom here how it goes from, I mean, it's just not straight at all. If you look at the bottom line, it's up and down, and it's just wavy because the BGS slabs basically mess up the way that the stickers are, you know, designed. They're typically straight, and the plastic sleeve that's sort of inserted, I guess, sort of makes them wavy over time. Now, it's not all of them. Some actually look better than others, so you sort of have to, you know, play it by eye, I guess, and give a peek around. It's not a one-size-fits-all sort of thing, but just something of note. If we do look backwards, though, I guess PSA 8 went for best offer for 1,600. Again, feels like a pretty good price to me. BGS 8, now this one's a little bit more difficult. This presumably is real. You have to have, like, much more, I guess, magnified pictures to be able to tell for sure. But, yeah, generally within the range of what you'd expect. And personally, I think it's a pretty good deal. You know, I had made that video last week about if we should all just be buying Messi, Ronaldo. But, like, a situation where that is an example, I know that this is a one true rookie situation, so it's a little different. But in my opinion, Messi's also on a different tier than Zidane, right? So I think that you can sort of overcome that, especially if you're Messi. This is a PSA 3 Zidane Panini sticker rookie for $840, and this is 50% more for a PSA 7 Messi Panini sticker rookie. This is the only rookie Panini sticker he has. This is the only rookie Panini sticker he has. Now, Messi, of course, has the 71 bis. He has some other rookie cards, all that jazz. So there are a lot more different ways that you could go about collecting Messi rookies comparatively to the Zidane. So again, I get it. It's not a one-to-one. But I do think a PSA 7 Este sticker, at least at this price, feels, pretty good. Then we have a 96 Beckham PSA 10 that goes for $1,600. I didn't look this one up. Honestly, I don't know if we'd get comps. It's a pop 1 of 4, but this is one that would, it'd be scary to me. Because this isn't a card that you saw talked about whenever David Beckham and the general soccer hobby was sort of booming. This has only come around lately, at least in my sort of realm that I deal in. I'm not looking everywhere, obviously, but a 96 Beckham and a PSA 10 going for $1,600 is a pretty decent price, especially when you see, at least we've seen 9s of these go almost every other week on PWCC for a while now, and they typically do like a couple hundred, maybe a few hundred, depending on where we're at. But basically, $1,600 to me seems like a really good price. I've also seen sealed wax of this pop up recently, so to me that feels like a super strong price. I mean, we're talking about you're up here with a Vinny out of 25 treble, which make what you want of any of the aspects of that card, but that is a pretty hobby relevant card at this point in time. And you have a PSA 7 Este Messi, so I'd say this is pretty high praise for this being up here. Next to it though, we do have the Vinny treble for $2,250. So I was interested in this. I mean, obviously Vinny, having the year he did, Ballon d'Or candidate, Real Madrid doing what they did, also being treble, out of 25 gold, rookie. I mean, it just got a lot of things going for it, so I did take a peek. And I'm interested in sort of what's going on here. I would assume it's just not getting paid for, but I'm not sure. Inspire FC, a.k.a. I think his name's like Soccer Card Rookie or something like that at this point. This also was Calcio Cards at one point in time, the YouTube guy. I think he watches the video, so if he can, I would appreciate some insight in terms of what's going on here. I don't think it's malicious. That's always a thing. People see stuff rerun and they assume it's malicious on the person selling its part, but I don't think that's the case. Like, you have to look at it and try to decipher what would the intent be of doing said thing. Like here, he sold it on best offer for $6,000. I guess quote unquote sold. It's the same card that is in the PWCC auction, ends in a 47, but then it also, I guess a few months later in September of last year, sold for $3,800. I'm guessing these are two people that just sent him an insane offer. He took it, and then they didn't pay. I have that happen a lot on like smaller scales where I think other people are trying to sell a similar card and just want that one off eBay so that people can't look at it or so that they can see the comp for it. So I don't think that this is him selling it or trying to, fake a sale or anything. But then I am wondering, like, did he sell it for $3,800? Because he very well might have back here, because then it takes about another 8 months for it to make its way to Fanatics Weekly, where it sells for $3,800, and then another sale here for $2,200. It is strange, again, to see the same card sell 4 times within a year, and, I mean, the problem is you can't really take the comps as is, but presumably they're down. I mean, if you look before this season, PSA 8 for $3,100, or an 8.5 for $3,100, a PSA 8 for $2,300. There's some relisted sales back here. Again, you sort of have to sift through it. Down here at the very bottom, you can't see, but yeah, there you go. $317 back in 2020 on one of these. Now that's a raw one, but still, pretty impressive move upwards, but hard to tell where it's at, and doesn't seem like it really went up in this last season despite what went on. And then we make it into the top 3. So we have a 2018 Prizm Mbappe out of 65 that went for $2,880. Looked this one up, and yeah, this one's down a lot. So this one went for $2,880, last one $3,300, $5,400, $7,800, $8,700. So really, no end in sight, at least as far as the last 5 sales show here. And I mean, still down, I mean, not a huge percent, but like 15-20% from earlier. Well, actually, just a few months ago, just a couple months ago, end of June here. I don't think this is the same one. All 9s and 9.5. This one has no subgrades. Now, having no subgrades does hurt, I will say. Even if like one of them's a 9, even if it's a min gem, like this is a min gem, still gets a higher price than the no subgrades. I think this just looks terrible, but nonetheless, one of the lowest prices we've seen in a while. And I do find this interesting because this is something I've sort of always at least had worries about with Modern, is that even some of these like super lower numbered, relatively demanded cards like a 2018 Mbappe. Now the orange isn't the one everyone thinks of, I guess, but it is also out of 65. It's a fairly low number comparatively to others, and 2022 seems to have generally been the bottom. It's hard to tell. Some things obviously since then are up, some are down, but it's a mix, which is good. But this one, you know, still is halved since 2022, which is part of my fear with a lot of the modern numbered stuff, is that they don't feel the pain as quick because they're numbered and they don't sell as often. So they still could be flushing out, sort of like this card here. I mean, Mbappe got his move to Real Madrid, which was what everyone was hoping for. I guess he, you know, hasn't won a Champions League, which would be something you would hope for, but still, I mean, pretty big haircut on that one. Beyond that, we have this Messi out of 50 PSA 9. So this sold for 4,800. I took a peek at some comps just to generally see. I had an idea, and other 9s were around this price, a little bit lower. I think this was kind of on the higher end for the 9s. Last 10 went for round about 10K. So a high price comparatively. I don't know if the 10 just aren't getting a huge grading premium since it already is such a big card. But yeah, the 10 went for nearly 10K, so 5K for a 9 feels, you know, fairly strong. But it is a gold 17 chrome Messi, and, you know, that's all the craze, so people are liking it. And gets a pretty high price, but I would not have guessed that it loses out to a 1/1 Marcus Rashford. So out of these 3 cards, I don't know if I had this one winning, but there actually is a comp, so we can see what it sold for before, and it sold for a pretty decent number. So in 2020, not even the peak of the boom, but maybe the peak of Marcus Rashford, this went for $22,000 on eBay. Apparently, I mean, you know, no way to know for sure, but there wasn't another sale after that. So since then, it has gone down, yeah, like 80-85%, which, to be fair, a lot of things have. But, you know, 5K is still a pretty decent number for a 2018 Marcus Rashford, if I do say so myself. English kit as well. I mean, you know, I don't know how many people are all that fond of Rashford in an English kit, but it is his first 1/1 Prizm, so I believe it's a 2016 rookie, so not rookie material, but early nonetheless. We did see the 1/1 of the New Era sell recently, PSA 7 for a little over 600, so nice premium there on the True Black 1/1. And yeah, that does it for this week in terms of the auction block. We'll see what we got going on next week. Fairly loaded, I would say, especially in the 100 to 1,000 range. Not as top heavy. Next week, we do have this green treble Messi, which is already at a pretty decent number. A BGS 7, 71 bis, a BGS 8, 71 bis. We have a purple Mbappe treble. Beyond that, we have a 67 Rivellino. A pretty decent grade here, a PSA 357 OMB Garincha. We also have a PSA 278 Maradona. We got some more PSA 10s Lamine Yamal, if you guys are into it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a crazy auction again in terms of high end, but certainly enough scattered throughout to get some sort of appetite. Got a PSA 6 Thierry Henry down here just hanging about, but yeah. That's what we're going to call it today. Again, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it greatly. If you want to see more videos like this as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. Also, would love to hear your thoughts down below. Things you thought sold high, low, maybe something you bought as well. Would love to see it. And yeah, with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.